Assalamualaikum to everyone in the globe that today is the 9th of the March and last night I was just observing the latest information about the rights and the operational issues of the NGOs in the Pakistan that the humanitarian negligence under the humanitarian observations appear to be the next point. We have to observe this fact at law under the multiple diversities of the information under the technocratic non-restorations about the humanitarian reserved areas of living that the humanitarian negligence in the Pakistan. Today we would discuss 2 points before observing the questions of the Republicans within their frame lines of the houses of the same that what is being done within their houses that they would have been provided any right or they are in the proper baselines of resolutions of the civil guardian restoration ad litem cases or the other cases in the factual existence of the same in the adversarial points of livings. When I just confined myself into the guardian ad litem applied judgments within the upper courts, likewise the judicial courts of the Supreme Court of the Pakistan, I just observed that the Supreme Court of the Pakistan had declared that a lot of the neglected children and there appears to be the nullified labor class children in de facto positions in the public composite and thereby the extracted labor unions through the same in the facts of the points of living of the same in the Lahore especially and in the other cities of the Pakistan as well that despite of the education to provide the educating the children in the de facto position, any children which were or which was produced or had been produced or just born, they the question is that the parents of the same just confuse the thoughts that the what ought to be done with the same. They just pay the receipts of the educational receipts and thereafter they do not take care of the said children and just said that Allah Almighty would take care of the same. That is not appealing to this lordship. The question is that when we are just becoming the lordship of the upper courts by ourselves, while just educating ourselves with the reciprocity help of my parents and with myself, my parents, myself, I just observed that. The question is that the narrations of the objective restorations of the known compilations of the judgments of the neglected children through the Neglected Children Act within the Supreme Court and in the High Court appears to be my gross grievance, which should be aggrieved, which should be resolved, which should be restored by the Supreme Court of the Pakistan in the favor of the uh, defected children just roaming here and there in the small medium carts, likewise the carts and vehicles. I just replied myself, carts and vehicles. When we just grossly observe the carts and vehicles, what we observe that the small types of the chingchi rishka, the drivers are underage and the wardens do not penalize the same in the facts because of their grievance. This is not the case of the statutory obligations about the same warden. The question, in fact, is to restore the penalized amount so that the question of the restoration observations of the failures of the parents would be deferred in the courts of the family suit as well. I just observe these questions through just exploring the ground miss eventualities of the republic at fiscal default. The neglected children after just consideration of having no proper place of living under having the multi coast negated channels of the observations and the working domains in the 24 by 7, they are into the habit of consideration of the doing ultimate aggressive task based small jobs within the towns and within the areas of the premises of the courts as well. So any bar, when we just observe the upper bars within the Lahore High Court, especially, thereafter the small children are doing the small jobs in order to ascertain the benefit of the bread. The question arises in my memory that if they are not provided, they are not being provided any right about to restore their bread and butter, then it would not be possible for the same, in fact, to just educate their children in the adversities of the modern societal indifferences about to restore their questions of doubt about the negligence which they were facing. And the question which I just observed today, after just reading a lot of the legal articles, last night I was just reading a lot of the articles about the restoration of the humanitarian negligence under the civil disobedience into the humanitarian obedience. I observed that the civil obedience question was very targeted with the humanity. The humanity in question is itself in the doubt in the Pakistan. The ultimate aggression about the restoration of the physical needs of the children under the defection clauses at the behest of the religious discriminations is an extracted issue in the Pakistan especially. We have to discriminate this fact under the subversion of the lines of assessment or the mode of the method of assessment to the deferred transitional parameters of the execution of the bonds to the in the face value of narrating narrations to the uh, young generation as well. The youth at fiscal default is the byproduct of their uh, guardians or their legacies, their civil legacies, which they keep from the centuries, and they are profound in this these offenses by the natural act of God, which they just claim all the ways. The act of God, this is the an advanced term which was used in most of the movies in the Indians Indian states. And I just observed that the Indians had claimed nothing. And today they were just using the words but not to possess any point of the legal justification into the wisdom of the articulations of the laws and the articles to just observe the Indians population. They just spread the propaganda. I'm talking about the Indian, the difference. I'm always just equalize the laws into the betterment of the societies of the Pakistan especially, because I'm just representing the Pakistan's neglected children under the Neglected Children Act 2004 through this electronic transaction. And there is no individual who can cause or maintain any case suit in any court of law with or without a consent of mine. The question is that when I just configured a lot of the fiscal observations of the deferred transitional areas of the humanity about the civil rights of the children in the face value of having the ultimate aggressive tools of assessment to their character assassinated souls, innocent one. I just contest another point of eliminating the issues of the civil restorations by just writing a lot of the articles about the same, in fact. But when I just observe that they are not into the habit of even consideration of those articles into memorize them into their memory so that they can read or write or just rotate the self-motivated points of living in a better half of their lives. Yes, I just configure these point as well. That's why I just repel the issues of the same. And thereafter, speaking in the same sense, when I observe that the conditional areas of the depictions of the facts of the communities under the humanitarian negligence, having the multipolar issues in the Pakistan, therefrom, I just observe that the conditional and the non-conditional areas as well. The barriers of the humanity under the negligence of the humans appears to be the issue which seems to be adjustable by the society at the fiscal default. They just claim that fiscally the Pakistan is being defaulted. All the politicians under the political agenda of their self. We, the lawyers of the Pakistan and the lordships of the Pakistan, the lords, just consider that the factual existence that the consumption of the females and the reproduction of the children under the insolvency factor, especially during the bankruptcy, and producing a lot of the children claiming to be innocent in front of either of the court appears to be a challenging task, which should have been considered by the defaulted Republican as well. I said that the revocation of the amended law is not a question in any court of justice. The implication of any section is not an excuse about to restore the same. The ground realities of a cause of action always lead the multi uh, dimensional cost effective or cost negated transitional sorts of the challenges to the humanity as well. When I just observe the ultimate challenges of the females in the aggression of the female children under the defection of their parental guardians, the guardian suits, repealed one, because the revocation and the implications of the NGOs in the Pakistan issue is an issue which is not being redressed under the redressal of doubt. The questions of the acquisitions of the land of the de facto children appears to be the criminology in fact, which I'm just observing without having any reciprocity help of either sector. Thereby, I just observe that to have the sudden wealth of the second party, third party without affirmations of the rights of the same, the confinement of the same in the devalued proportion is an other task by the humanitarian negligent driven individuals. They are into the habit of just multiplying the things, dividing the actual proportion of the rights into the diversity of the solutions, and then as to be the claimant of the extracted judgments in the narrations. I just always challenge those judgments through video links. The questions arise in my memory that the females, children, especially, I'm talking about the children, female. Children itself has no gender. The females, children in the Pakistan uh, are suffering a lot. Has been suffering, had been suffering, would have suffering, could have suffering, and would have always been in a position of huge sufferings in the Pakistan. But when on the contrast, when we just observe the situation of the India and the Western countries in the globe, we just expect that everything rotates in the exceptional area of living there without having the work working rotations of having the salary based or hourly based income and expenses, but that is not the exact point. When a person who just leave its place of natural abode, what comes the next challenge to the same in the facts is that the said land always negate the existence of the same, because the said land is not taking him for free. They always take the double advantage of an individual. Likewise, a person who is just having a visa of any country to the European state from the Pakistan, the said European state always lead a lot of the taxes to the embassies of the other states of the Europe as well, and the British as well. The questions stand here which is very legal one about the rights of the Pakistani female, that if the children, females children, the married couples, the labor one is leaving the Pakistan for the purpose of earning the earnest income or expenses which he left behind a series of infants in the face value of the guardian ad litem or de facto one, entitled with a legal document as well. What comes the next is an operative challenge for the said left behind female of the said male, and the said male could not resist the working hours in another country where he is just leading a life under the doubts of having the no reciprocity, and there is no chance that said female which is facing the double challenges in the Pakistan or India or in the Middle East about to have the consumptions of the right derivations of the guardian legacy to her children, in fact always have a double question of the accuracy, because she always feel that her husband left her in a proportion where she cannot stand by. And then what comes the next is an extreme line which should have been understood for those persons who just leave Pakistan for the purpose of not maintaining the maintenance in low leverage of the wages or salaries. The because I just recommend that if you are not getting any a big salary or big fee or any wage remuneration, then you can adopt a policy of having normal wages under the normalcy of the times, and after that you can revoke the same into the higher levels. With the passage of time you can pose to be in the right direction for the well consumed accommodation of your family, and just have the development of your constructed house or non constructed or rented premises as well. The question which resembles always in the public sector under the faces of the small children, while I'm just watching their faces everywhere wherever I just roam, just for the need of the hour or the time being, then I just observe that on over the faces of the children which I repel through this video, that the females, the children females in the Pakistan depicts poverty over their faces whether they are rich or poor by inheritance. Because the question, the landlordism or the landlordship in Pakistan is not acceptable. It's not constructed by the autocracy or the bureaucracy. Yes, it is created by the land mafia, and the children of the land mafia depicts poverty in the alleys. This is the called the natural god of justice, act of god of justice, which we are just watching always in the movies. Act of justice or act of natural justice or act of God. These are the lines which are suitable here. So the next problem, which is another alarming question in the Pakistan and in the India and the Middle East as well, that every person who is underage and who is about to attain the puberty always just want to go to the out of country with having huge dreams in his brain while just daydreaming about the restoration of the same. The question is very alarming here, that in your motherland you are not able to get a proper positions of the accurate lines of assessment, and then you are just claiming that you can restore a point of better living in another state with the reciprocity accommodation of your family, and you will just follow, you just fulfill your family through your former family. It would be amounted as an open insult to your family. In fact, over the ground realities, whether you like it or not, but that is the fact. I just always claim I love my land. I love Pakistan because I'm born in Pakistan and I just work in Pakistan. I have so many opportunities. I can go anywhere, I can earn from anywhere, but I just provide my services in Pakistan because I feel that my country need myself, my services, in order to just improve the areas of taxations, the services, tribunals, the government sector, the humanitarian negligence, the other issues which could not be solved by the ordinary lawyers. So that because I have invested a lot of years in the libraries, I know that no lawyer have a lot of time to invest in the libraries. They are from poor families and they have a lot of bills to pay. But luckily I was, from my youth I was very uh, earthworm. That was a mistake, you can say that is a tongue slipper tongue. uh, I was very into the books and law books, and I just always just observe the Indian laws, Australian laws, and the American laws, British laws, and other laws in the libraries of where from I just have my law graduation. And after that I just observe the observations of the information of humanitarian negligence and the reproduction rate of the females, having no impeachment of the lives in the public sectors in the Pakistan. The questions of the IMF is a secondary question. The primary question is that today I'm going to celebrate a celebrated thought that the Pakistan should have know that the IMF is not our servant. The IMF means what? International Monetary Fund. It is owned by the Indian states. It is developed by the European state. It is constructed by the British. There are three elements. There is no Pakistani proposed in the high position in the IMF. So why they will provide the loan to the Pakistan? This is a question which should have been understood by the stupid type of politicians which are just stunting around in my television shows. When I just observed that while watching the telecasting shows online, that small and youngsters are just having no future and they just fighting for the line and length of their living for the next day. I feel very ashamed that what should have been provided to them by the former governors, by the ruling class, by the any class. I'm not provoking any class here, but the question arises here: what about the rights of the children, in fact, under the guardian legacies of the same? So the questions which should have been understood by the Pakistanis, that they are Republican. This is very abusive word. Whenever I just recall myself as a Republican, first we have to delete this word Republican from every document that we are Republican. We are public. We are public. We are Pakistani. We are public, and we are not republic. Republic means itself a divided nation. It resembles republic from reply. Re means rewind. I have pushed three examples so that the public can consume a lot of things. The public of the Pakistan, the public, not public, the public of the Pakistan. And the secondary issue, which I have found in a lot of documents, that the republic, because the question is when the poor class always stand in front of the elites, they'll just act in the wrong decorum of the word as well. These are the abusive sorts of the challenges which cause the double issues of the Pakistan. When I just surrender myself into the legal observations for for one decade, then I just observed that the judges and the lawyers and their staffs and their each and every sector, they are also aggrieved from the societal indifferences their self. Yes, I figured it out that through the negligence of surrounding they're also suffering as a human being. But what we have been uh, consigned to the facts to the same is a question line. What we have provided to the same, what we are just driving from the judges, but we are just going to the police station, what we have provided the police staff, and what the police staff is doing, and what is being done in the hospitals. These three institutions of the Pakistan always have, any state of the country or of a country always refer the state machinery into the perfection lines for the betterment of the perfect society. Thereby, the ignorance of the law is not an excuse. But the question is that is if the ignorance of law is not excuse or not so, then we always have the excuses as a human being under the pardon of someone, and we hide beside those pardons with having apologies, with having due resemblance of the things. So the conditional, I always said that while just having a marriage, what should have been provided to the said couple is a question that is called that the mental health ordinance 2001, the mental health ordinance 2002 would be uh, read in the shape value of, or there should have been added a section in the mental health ordinance that it would be applied to the married couple as well, under married under insolvency, and executing their humanitarian rights and ignoring the rights of the upcoming generation through the same infects, and wasting the money and income of their parents. This would be amended, and it will clear all the public negligence in the Pakistan as to restore the same facts. So I was basically just confining myself into the law. I just refresh myself through just reading, writing articles. Public always said that, a lot of my colleagues and friends and fellows always said that you are just wasting your time. You have, they said honestly. And I said, yes, I'm just wasting my time because the time is meant to be wasted in the right direction, despite of wasting with you. And they always just feel embarrassed through this statement. I like that because if you are wasting the time in the wrong decorum, the habit of wasting your the time would be automatically injected to the next generation, which would have been coming through you as a byproduct of human. And human humans are always a byproduct of uh, ongoing challenges in his life or its life. But we are very drastically, it is very sad to observe that the articles of the constitutional laws are appealing to the humans. But when I just observe that the refreshment of the memory under the Kanun Shahadat Order 1984, a lot of the articles have been written and had been written from more than many decades. But when we just confine those articles into the laws, the challenges are based on the humanity. The total scholars in the Pakistans are baseless, meaningless. I just observed that. They are totally meaningless. They argue with having no argument. They argue with the history. They argue with the propositions without the confinement of the uh, spur of the moment. I have never found up any person in my life up till now who can argue in front of me for more than 5 minutes in the spur of the moment about the rotations of his uh, equalizing rights about himself, herself, into the habit of not negating the rights of the others. Yes, we have to admit that fact. If you are not negating the right of the others, then why you are wasting the time by yourself in the non-presence of the others? So one word, one line is more than enough, one phrase is more than enough to just harass anyone, because they are meant to be harassed by automated facts. If the public is wrong, you harass them by words because you have the right to harass them. If they're right, if they are treating you with the very utmost care and cautious behavior, thereafter you can not overrule the same. You can just listen to the same. This is this is the criminology in fact in Pakistan. I'm totally convinced to observe the public failures, the public disabilities, and the public disasters. The children of the same, the parents of the same are just observing that the failures of the actual environmental disorders, transactions, the environmental laws are there. But the individuals who have to carry forward the better positions of the environmentals under the radar are absent from their duties everywhere you go. And this applies to the institutions of the Pakistan after employment, before employment, after employment, always observations of the things which they would have been provided by the governance of the Pakistan. And what happens the next is the poverty of the mind in the public class is a representative of the public. And so many things always happen in the life without affirmations of the new facts. You should have been, or you should be a product of yourself so that you can consume the technology in interest. This is a very accurate word which I just invent by myself. Technology in interest. Likewise, I'm using mobile right now. Technology in interest means that those things which are you are consuming for yourself, for society betterment, for your surrounding, and all those things come back to you in the face value of returning natural gift by the Allah Almighty. But we believe under the mis or disbelief of the others. So the issue with the Pakistan is that the area in the Pakistan and the 75% of the population is poor, and the 20% of the population just want to leave the Pakistan. They just come in the Pakistan in order to produce children through the other class, poor class, their females, and leave those females without leaving any evidence incriminating any disorder to the same in the facts. And those females always have so many relations in order to just make a better house for their survival, because the bills are not for free. The bills, electric bill, the gas bill, the water bill. So if a female is confined and a rich person know this fact, then it is not a difficult task for a man to harass the same female in return of the cash. In some cases, it is being profound that the political parties are being obliged, are being accustomed with the custom in precedent. They blackmail the uh, most successful females in the Pakistan. They blackmail them through stunts, political stunts in the houses, in their homes, by possessing or dispossessing their properties. They just harass the females, the elite class, and after that, and every then you can consume that fact. The urban come rural immigrants are used to these stunts in the Pakistan and provoking the female sentiments and harassing them, and the cause of action always arose in the High Court, Supreme Court. But it is a question that the modesty of the said female is about to be contested in the public place, and she would not repel the same effects of adversarial lines of living under the civil ignorance of her husband or children, because it would become a public piece of evidence automatically, and she will not be repelled with the tuning of the ignorance. And then what comes the next? That she just brought those tears into her body under no justice. These questions always just resist in my